This is a special presentation of Soccoa Media Radio.
Yes, indeedy. Welcome, everybody, to the first ever Sports Talk 365 live show. This is Joe Soccoa welcoming you all to this pretty historic episode here, this first live show on Soccoa Media Radio on MixLR. And I couldn't be more thrilled to have the guys from the Scoreboard Addicts podcast to join me for this live show. We have Nick Velasquez, TJ, and the Rook. What's going on, fellas? Welcome to the first ever Sports Talk 365 live show.
How's it going?
Thank you for having us. I'm pretty excited.
Isn't it? I mean, I know you guys record your podcast later on after this show, so nice little warm-up for you guys to go on a live show right here in front of a pretty big audience, we're hoping.
Yeah, that's a dream.
Well, anytime you can go out there and do anything is always good stuff, right? I mean, I like Shoeless Joe says in Field of Dreams, I'd play for free. I'd play for food money.
We don't even play for food money. We do it straight free.
So before we get into our show here, because we're going to be here with you for the next hour, get a couple of topics that we're going to talk through in the sports world. Let's tell our audience, though, for those that may be living under a rock, what the Scoreboard Addicts podcast is all about. So, Nick, I'll leave that up to you if you want to just give the audience a little bit of background about your podcast. A little shameless plug here for you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. This podcast is the brainchild of the three of us. Rook, TJ, and I were really going hard during the NFL draft, really just having some amazing conversations via text. Just the three of us. Actually, I'll say Chris was in that too. Chris was in the conversation as well. But Chris just couldn't find time to be a part of the podcast. So he kind of flaked, but we were actually having some pretty hilarious conversations about the NFL draft, what was happening, who teams were going to take, sheer comedy. And then Rook started hitting on like 3, 4, 5 picks. And I'm not talking about the next pick. I'm talking 6 picks down the road. He's predicting who somebody's trading up to pull. And it happened. And I'm sitting here going, wow, this is incredible. So about day 2, where I go back, I'm reading all the comments that we made and I'm still like choking. It's still funny. And I thought to myself, if you ever watch That 70s Show, there's a part where they're going down to the basement and they're always smoking weed and they go, we always have such great ideas down here. We should record it. And I think I said that to Rook. Rook, I said that to you, Rook?
Yeah, you said it to me. Yeah.
And he goes, why aren't we doing a podcast right now? And then TJ was like, why aren't we doing a podcast right now? And thus became the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. I think the hardest part was finding a name.
Yeah, the hardest part was finding a name. And I think I was like, as long as you'll edit everything, I'll do it.
Hey, listen, whenever you're trying to find a name for these podcasts, because there's so many of them out there, it's always tough. I mean, like, listen, look at this one. I mean, Sports Talk 365. I mean, that's the most plain name you could come up with because it's literally Sports Talk 365. So it is tough and stuff like that, but you guys do a great job as always. It was a pleasure for me to be a guest on your show. I think when TJ was absent on vacation, wherever he was, they kind of said we looked like each other, so it fit perfectly, I guess. Handsome fellow over there I can see through the screen.
It's like looking in a mirror.
Exactly. It's just unbelievable. It really is. The glasses, the little bit of the scruff that's going on here. I mean, I think I have a little bit more hair, but that's all right, though. That's
you got me beat. I respect it.
But listen, fellas, we're here until 10:30. This was just a thing I wanted to get going here to really get this going on MixLR, hopefully then on the Soccoa Media app as well. And it's going to be fun. We have a couple of things I know we want to talk about. One of the things I definitely want to get to, and we'll open it up, is the potential partnership that we're hearing between Barstool and MLB. I'm curious to get your guys' take on that. I know you guys also, on your last podcast or 2 podcasts ago, started doing some film reviews, and I know the first movie you guys started reviewing was Field of Dreams, which coincidentally, the Field of Dreams game is tomorrow night between the Yankees and the White Sox. So everybody should be watching Field of Dreams tonight or tomorrow in preparation for the game tomorrow. Such a great movie and stuff like that. And then I know, Rook, you wanted to touch on a couple of other topics, and we'll do that in rapid fire a little bit later on. So I want to get into our first topic of discussion, and that is the potential partnership that seems to be going down between Major League Baseball and Barstool Sports. There have been reports, there have been rumors that Barstool is talking to MLB about possibly doing some type of broadcast during the week, which would then also focus on in-game gambling. And of course, we all know that's where Barstool came from, started as a newspaper up in Boston, in the Boston area with Portnoy and all the gambling and stuff like that. And there was hints about that they were talking to a major sports league. People were trying to figure it out before this article came out. You know, it definitely wasn't going to be the NFL because of the long-standing hate relationship between Roger Goodell and Dave Portnoy. It didn't seem like soccer was going to be on the table. It didn't seem like the NHL was going to be on the table, although I kind of thought it was going in that direction. But the reason for this, before we get into it, is that Major League Baseball currently has national TV deals with Fox, Turner, and ESPN. But as part of their new ESPN contract that begins next year, Monday and Wednesday games will no longer be on ESPN. So that's where it seems like Barstool is trying to jump on in. So I'm curious because there was, I don't know about you guys, but I saw a lot of negative backlash to this once these reports started coming out about how it probably wouldn't be good for the game considering the culture they give over at Barstool, even though I'm sure, at least for me, I enjoy Barstool. So, you know, I don't have a problem with what they do. I think it's great. I think they, you know, put out great content all around. So I'm curious to get your guys' take on this whole potential merger between these two entities.
I think it's definitely two sides to every coin. I mean, what Barstool has done for sports, they brought the average fan into the fold. People that talk like us, people that have the same feelings as us, people that aren't afraid to tell somebody, this guy sucks, get him out of here. What are they doing? You know, they have that real edge to them. And I think that's found, you know, a big niche audience we want to hear people talk how we talk. We want to hear the takes that we have because we're all sitting there as fans watching it, you know, and especially the MLB. The MLB is always looking for a way to stir up some new fandom. And I think it's a good move in that sense. As far as the broadcasting aspect of it, I mean, only time will tell because there's something to be said about the traditional prim and proper way of broadcasting a game and who knows what type of take they'll have on it, what type of layout they're going to go with. Is it going to be more geared towards just spoofing on what's going on, or are they going to actually sit down and do a traditional broadcast, but throw that new flair into it? But I mean, I either way, I think it's something that's going to be watched and it's something to look forward to. And where it goes, you know, only time will tell. But I'm all for it.
So I guess I'll jump in here. So I was trying to look it up, why Barstool is a front runner, and I couldn't find anything because every article was about how a negativity that MLB would get for Barstool. I mean, I guess good publicity. I guess any publicity is good publicity, you know, for the MLB. I will say this though, I do like what the Barstool does, like that, like laid back, relax, like hot. Was it the execution seat, whatever it is, the hot chair, whatever it is, when they watch a game or elimination. So I was watching last night. My daughter's trying to get into watching baseball. She's 2 years old. It's incredible. I love it. But she's sitting there. She's watching it. And then MLB cut to like their showcase game. And they're like, we have CC Sabathia there. And what is it? CC Sabathia, Matt Excursion in like plain clothes in a living room. They're inviting Jason Kendall on. They're inviting, who's your next guest? The doorbell rings, someone walks in. And I'm like, this is just like they're kind of like taking the same laid back attitude that Barstool would have. So, I mean, I guess that's what MLB wants to go for. So I guess if that's where they want to go, I mean, good for them, good for Barstool. They're a little company that used to be little. Now they're humongous and worth millions, even close to billions of dollars. So, good for them. If it does happen, it's going to be pretty wild. But I mean, obviously it's going to come with some sort of backlash because of all the past content and past stuff that they said. So if they're prepared for that, which I'm sure Portnoy is, then whatever. Maybe it's a match made in heaven for both parties.
Yeah, I think I think people are a lot smarter than what we give them credit. I mean, granted, we do have a lot of stupid tendencies, but I think that Barstool, like TJ was saying, with regard to, we want to see people like us commenting on sports. I think that's pretty legitimate, just because you have something like, I'll give an example. I'm a Yankee fan, obviously. In case you didn't know, I'm a Yankee fan. You listen to the Yankee broadcast, right? And obviously Michael Kay and John Sterling are fanboys. They're fanboys that report to the man, right? They're little puppets with the Yankee hand up their back, working their mouths, right? At least on Barstool, I know that Eric Hubbard is a Yankee fan. And he's not trying to hide it, with his, trying to maintain sort of respectability as a reporter by sugarcoating BS. And we all know it's BS. As fans, when you're listening to them talk and this guy sucks, but, you hear Michael Kay or John Sterling sit there and throw out some trivial stat like he's the best hitter north of the Mason-Dixon line that plays their games in New York City, but not in Queens, but he's left-handed and he bats fifth. Like, okay, that can only be one guy. I appreciate you shining light on a crappy situation, but like, let's be real. The guy's trash. Call it what it is. When a guy's not doing well, we want to hear that a guy's not doing well. And that's why things like Barstool, John Boy Media, that's why they took off, is because fans know. I think fans, you got to treat them a little bit smarter than they actually are. We're not stupid. We know when we're being fed BS from the corporate side of the business, and we want to see the real side. We want to see the side that, makes us sit there and go, I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I look at exactly what you guys are talking about and the whole aspect of, what are they going to try to do when it comes to their broadcast? I mean, I don't know if you guys saw during the NHL playoffs and when the Islanders were playing, they were doing live streams from Borelli's because one of their employees, Frankie Borelli, huge Islander fan, family has a big pizza shop out on Long Island. And you kind of wonder, and people were glued to that, even though they're sitting there watching the game like the rest of us. And then you kind of get that commentary in there. Listen, I'm actually, and this is coming from somebody who enjoys broadcasting, has done broadcasting for, close to 10 years now, whether it's junior hockey, college baseball, college football. I kind of like the idea of your non-traditional broadcast at this point. I want it to be a topic of conversation. Like if we're over here, right? If the four of us are sitting on this show right now, and we're talking, and there's a baseball game going on, and we're just talking about what's going on, where, we'll chime in every once in a while just to kind of give that little play-by-play aspect because people are watching it on TV, and we're just having a conversation, whether it's some fun facts about it or, even if we really get into the deep conversation of, all right, what situation can happen here, I'm kind of all for it. And then obviously, what'll probably happen here is, given the fact that Barstool has a bunch of degenerate gamblers, and we saw from the pandemic how many people wanted to gamble. I mean, if you look at the numbers, I'm sure in Jersey alone, when online gambling got, up and running there, they were making more money than Vegas at one point, so, and I'm sure, like I said, with Barstool, you're going to have these conversations happening. All right, we're in the bottom of the fifth inning, first and second, 2 out. It's, plus 200 that this guy's going to get a runner, that runner in from second base, where people are going to be able to literally gamble live as this game is going on. And that's, I'm sure, what Barstool is going to try to do. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I think as far as the negative comments that are coming around from it, I think it's more so because I guess Barstool has this reputation that they treat their employees like crap. But, I mean, every which way you look, I mean, they're giving people opportunities. And then, they all think that Portnoy is like anti-woman. I mean, the CEO of the company is a woman. And one of its most biggest and successful shows, which is no longer there, Call Her Daddy, that girl Alex, she's a woman, and she's gotten to a pretty big place now where she's gotten a Spotify deal. So to me, because like I said, I'm a Barstool fan, and I enjoy that content that comes out, it would be refreshing to have a guy like Hubs, like you said, Nick, coming out there and, even if he's on the broadcast, I don't know how they're going to do it where they could do it on national TV, but these guys drop F-bombs left and right. But, listen, that's how we feel sometimes. As far as we want to curse up a storm when we're watching a Yankee game.
You know what, though? I look at it like you look at somebody like Hubs and Kerøsene, right? I look at that like the everyman version of A-Rod and Ortiz, what they're trying to do on MLB Network now. When they put A-Rod and Ortiz in the same room together, one's a Red Sox, one's a Yankee, and they sit there and they antagonize each other about each other's teams. The only difference is that Hubs and Kerøsene are like you and me. And we're going to antagonize each other on a different level where it's actually funny. That's the difference where they're belting each other with a belt when their team gives up a hit or gives up a run. You guys remember that a few years ago? They were literally whipping each other with belts.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny. It really was. It's not something I would do, but I thought it was hilarious.
And look, let's face it, fellas, MLB is losing its fans. We've seen the PR mishaps that MLB has had over the last couple of seasons. You go back to the Astros cheating scandal. Then you have this sticky stuff. They're losing fans. And not also are they losing fans because of those PR controversies, but they're altering the rules that people don't like. I don't know about you guys. I hate the man on second in the extra innings because
everybody
what's going to happen is that a wild card spot or a division winner is going to come down to that in the 10th inning, and someone's going to get screwed out of getting a playoff spot. So, so MLB, I think, has to try everything they can, and especially Manfred. I mean, Manfred has, if he's not below any of the three other commissioners in the major four sports, then I'm actually shocked because he's probably should be lower than crap right now, given the state of baseball and his PR standpoint and what has gone on over the last couple of seasons.
Well, talk about changes that are going on in the league right now. I think you're right. Everybody hates the man on second. I know Anthony hates it. Am I lying?
Yeah, I hate it so much.
I think everybody hates it. I don't think
it's
there's
it's men's league softball. It's not MLB. It's men's.
You know what? But you know what kills me is when you make such a gigantic change like that. The stats, like baseball is a game of numbers. Stats are like the most important thing in the world in baseball, right? They count everything. All right. Down to 108 stitches on a ball. That's how much they count everything, right? I still can't figure out how that runner, that ghost runner on second base, when he scores, gets charged to the pitcher who never put him there. It doesn't make any sense at all. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's kind of like when the NFL created sacks, only it's a bad stat instead of a good stat. I saw some proposals about some changes they wanted to make for next season. I think getting rid of pitchers batting is a good thing. Nobody wants to watch bunts. Chicks dig the long ball. That's a thing. Like, I mean, Babe Ruth saved baseball. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa saved baseball after the 94 strike. I think the biggest problem that baseball has right now is it's too much bang or bust. And ever since they got with the spider tack, it's been a lot more bust than it has been bang, especially since they took the juice out of the balls. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying that I like juiced balls, but watching guys hit home runs all over the place is a lot better than watching them strike out every at bat. I mean, granted, it does mess with the history and the numbers, but it's more entertaining to watch a home run or a double than it is to watch a strikeout, which is what we're getting now.
The MLB refuses to address the real issues, and they want to make all these changes that they're not deterring fans. I mean, extra inning games are not deterring fans. So putting that guy on second base is not fixing any sort of issues. They want to cut down on the time of the games. Most avid fans enjoy a good long game, especially in one of these amazing series. Let's say Red Sox, Yankees, we all seem to be Yankee fans. I'll sit there and watch it for 4.5 hours without complaining. That's not the problem. And I think the real problem for me starts with how everything, like you touched on, Nick, statistics has ruined the game. And every single manager wants to do everything based on statistics. There's no feel. There's no excitement when you go by I can't even talk right now. Statistics. And you're essentially saying, as a manager of a major league ball club, here's a stat sheet. A trained monkey can do your job. We can just bring somebody out of the stands, read the stat sheet, and that's what we're going with, regardless of if somebody came in for a pinch hit and lit a bomb over the left field fence, and that guy's now going to sit for 6 more days because, this guy still has to start over him. There's no field, there's no touch, and it's almost like the MLB front office is trying to compensate in all the wrong ways, and they're pushing fans away. You want to bring more fans in? Step 1, get rid of Angel Hernandez. Step 2, bring in Barstool Sports and let them avidly beat the crap out of Angel Hernandez. That's what fans want to hear.
But I have one point to make about the sorry, Joe, just to jump in here about the gambling. So when the XFL when it came back, they had the over under on the bottom, they had the spread on the bottom, right next to the team. And I feel like that's what Barstool Sports can do when it comes to the gambling. They're gonna be like, it's in the 5th inning. Here's the studio's bets. This is what this guy has the first 5 innings to go into the Dodgers. The over under here, over under there, whatever. And they're gonna be celebrating when like a home run is hit and it hits the over. Like it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be good for the fans and the average Joe like us who just want to watch baseball and maybe even gamble on it. So it's gonna be great.
Yeah. So just to wrap up this portion of this subject in MLB and Barstool, as you're listening to the Sports Talk 365 live show, Joe Soccoa and the Scoreboard Addicts podcast fellas joining us. So I'm guessing by the consensus of the 4 of us, we're actually okay and we're eager to see what Barstool's going to do here.
Definitely give them a chance at least. I mean, everybody's starting with the negative connotations on it. Let's see what they bring to the table.
100%. I'm on board for it.
It can't get worse.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right.
More fans.
It certainly cannot get any worse. But the one bright spot we could go over and switch to is what's coming up tomorrow night. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this show, that you fellas actually did a film review edition of your podcast. And that was, of course, the movie Field of Dreams, which to me is probably my all-time favorite sports movie. And that's saying a lot, especially in baseball here.
Me too.
Because I absolutely love Field of Dreams. And we have the Field of Dreams game taking place tomorrow night between the Yankees and the White Sox out in Iowa. The field looks great. If you haven't seen it, get on social media because it's all over the place. Everybody's taking it in. They built this park behind the actual field where the movie set is. Their MLB has been doing coverage all week. They even had Kevin Costner and Bob Costas sitting on the swinging bench outside of the house just talking about it. I know I'm pumped up for the game, guys. Give me your thoughts about this idea, and probably one of the brighter spots, I would say, aside from the MLB and Barstool collaboration here, has to be is that coming up with this Field of Dreams game that should have actually taken place last year, but because of COVID, got pushed back to this year.
I mean, they're taking a page out of the NHL's book. With the NHL has been doing it for years now with the outdoor games, the Winter Classic. And, I mean, other than the fact that in an MLB stadium, looking at the ice rink being there live, it's not the greatest view. It's still an awesome idea considering the roots of hockey, outdoor pond hockey. We've all played it. The MLB jumped on board and said, hey, let's do a little, let's snazz it up a little bit, different type of field. And what better field to do it on than a classic movie like Field of Dreams? Put the corn in the background, hit a couple dingers out into the corn rows. It's a great idea. And I think it's definitely well-deserved at all the clout it's getting right now on social media.
And what I like about it is that it seems like it's going to be an intimate event. It's not going to have the 25 to 45,000 fans that are going to be there. I think they only built it to have about, I might be a little bit off by the number. I think anywhere between 10 and 12,000, if that much, maybe even less.
Not a lot. No.
So to me, I think that makes it even better that it's almost like going to be an intimate affair given for the fans that were there, and then we're going to watch it on TV and kind of like really take it in. That is a 7 o'clock start tomorrow, Yankees and White Sox. And yeah, listen, take in all the fanfare, but it's going to be a pretty important game. And the White Sox have one of their better starters on the mound in Lance Lynn, while the Yankees are going with Andrew Heaney, who seems to give up a lot of home runs. So the cornfields might be a little bit busy tomorrow. I know Nick's got his hands on his head there because Heaney has not had a really good start to the whole thing. But speaking of this,
he's going to be shucking corn with those home run balls that they're hitting in there.
Yeah, but speaking of this game, though, in itself, I kind of wish I was there, not going to lie. But
Me too.
like TJ, you said, yeah, taking a book out of the NHL's, taking a page out of the NHL's book, I should say, especially with the outdoor games. I've been to about 4 outdoor games, so they have been great. So I'm really curious to see how this whole thing will play out tomorrow. I'm excited to see it. And it's a pretty important game for the New York Yankees. Almost every game seems to be important as they've really made up ground here. Just a game and a half out of a wild card spot, but still 6.5 out of first place. So let's talk a little bit about the game and, of course, where the Yankees stand right now going into this game. They're going up against a Chicago White Sox team who's playing very good baseball, but they have a commanding 10-game lead in the AL Central as well.
So I'm gonna jump in here and talk about this because I love Field of Dreams. I'm with you, Joe. All-time favorite baseball movie. I ranked it 5 stars in our review. Spoiler alert, in case you waited till the end. But my thing is, I wish that they did more games there. Like it's just the one game and they're off Friday, which is weird because I don't like when a Friday night comes and there's no baseball on Friday night. It's just weird to me. They did the same thing when they went to London. They at least played 2 games in London. I guess it's a much longer trip. So you're better off at least playing 2 games there. But I thought they at least should have played 2 or 3 games there. So I think we're being cut short a little bit from the fans' standpoint, especially with only being 12,000 fans. They could have at least given more people an opportunity to go and see this. As for the game, I mean, Andrew Heaney starting, not the best. They had Carlos Rodon was supposed to start, but he's on the IL now. So, I mean, Lance Lynn's still a big name, but I mean, sort of a big name. He was an all-star? I think he was an all-star this year, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was. So at least it is still an all-star starting, but it's Lance Lynn compared to Carlos Rodon or the bigger names that could have been there, like Garrett Cole. He's still out in COVID, and the Yankees team is just decimated right now with injury. Like, who do we see today? I think they had Brantley, Wade. I mean, Gardy's still in there, though Nick hates him. And all the other just
Licky started today. It was Licky's first start today in like 10 years.
And Andrew Velasquez. Is that Nick's cousin?
I wish I'd have tickets to the game.
Yeah. So I mean, it's still going to be fun, but it's not going to have as much firepower as we hoped it would be.
I agree with you, though. It should have been they should have done the 3-game set with Chicago out there and give 3 sets of lottery tickets for fans to go and check this game out. I mean, 100%. That would have been great. I don't know why they're doing 1 game there. So, like I said, baseball takes a couple of steps forward with an idea and then about 5 steps backwards.
I guess I'll be the contrarian about the whole thing. I honestly don't get it. I mean, I've seen Field of Dreams. We did the review. I love the movie, but other than a movie that was done in 1989, Iowa has absolutely nothing to do with Major League Baseball. A fictional movie. This is not a real account of anything that actually happened. It is a movie based on a book written by a Canadian about something that never happened. And they're playing this game there. They'd have been better off playing the game in Cooperstown. All right. The concept of them having like they're playing basically at a minor league stadium in Iowa. That's what they built out there down the road from the actual Field of Dreams set field. But honestly, I get the throwback jerseys are real. I did my air quotes for those of you who can't see. I did air quotes for throwback.
What? First of all, the Yankees, I mean, it's just like a different material, but it's the same jersey for the Yankees.
It doesn't have the stripes.
It's unbelievable.
It doesn't have the blue and white stripes on the sleeve, and it doesn't have the outline around the New York.
Oh, God.
But of course, we all looked forward to seeing the throwback in their true form because that back then Nike was a fledgling company, and they got the contract to make the Yankees jerseys back in 1918. So that's cool, man, to see the Nike logo on the front of the jersey, just like it was back in the day. But don't get me wrong, it's going to be a good time tomorrow, but I don't understand how it is necessary. They definitely would have been better to do to like rebuild the Polo Grounds and have a game someplace like that. It's
also a Thursday night too.
Yeah.
Think about
time.
This. Like it's prime time, but it's not.
Imagine they could have made a small replica, obviously not to the height, but to the dimensions of a field, like let's say the Polo Grounds, Ebbets Field, although Citi Field is pretty much a replica of Ebbets Field. I think that'd be more fun for fans to watch something like almost like Candlestick Park, those same dimensions. Because if you look at some of those old ballparks like Scheib and the Polo Grounds, the Polo Grounds was like 800 feet to center field. It was ridiculous. It had that weird alley right out there. Or if you could do something like the old Yankee Stadium where the monuments are in play and you have to dive past a monument and try not to die on the way. I think that'd be more fun for a fan than watching them play in Iowa at a minor league stadium.
Damn, Nick coming in with the serious kibosh on the whole Field of Dreams game. My
Baseball
goodness.
needs more death traps too, Nick, right?
Yeah.
Listen, is there anything more fun than watching Bobby Mercer jump between the monuments to get a ball that was not behind the monuments? Come on.
We still have that. I mean, we still have that. There's nothing like watching a game down in Tampa where somebody hits a pop out and it just disappears in the roof.
Oh, Jesus. Don't even get me started on that thing. But listen, it is a live show. And I think I would be remiss if we didn't have it like a traditional live show where I'm going to give some scores out there just to give the folks a little update in case you're not talking. And then we'll, get into like a little bit of a rapid fire because I know Rook says he has a couple of other topics he wants to touch on. So we'll let the Scoreboard Addicts kind of take over for the last 27 minutes or so. So right now, in the middle of the sixth, it's the Tigers 6, the Tigers 5, the Orioles nothing. The Dodgers holding on to a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the fifth against the Phillies. That game is only in the fifth. I think there might have been a rain delay there. We've gotten some crazy weather here the last couple of hours. Top of the seventh, Indians leading the Athletics 2-1. That's a score to keep an eye on considering the Athletics are also neck and neck with the Yankees in the wild card spot. Bottom of the eighth at Fenway, and it's the Red Sox 14, the Rays 1. So Red Sox will pick up a game there on the Rays, who surged out to a 5-game lead in the AL East. Bottom of the eighth, Braves 5, Reds nothing. Braves are playing great baseball as well. How about Corbin Burns shutting it down for the Brewers? Top of the seventh, 8-0 Brewers over the Chicago Cubs. Just underway, bottom of the second, Blue Jays and Angels are scoreless. Giants and D-backs in the bottom of the first are scoreless, and the Mariners and Rangers getting ready to go underway. Some finals from tonight and earlier today. The Twins shut out the White Sox 1-0, so the White Sox go into the Field of Dreams game losers. The Astros defeated the Rockies 5-1. Yankees beat the Royals 5-2 as they continue to play good baseball. Zach Britton, thank God, didn't blow a save. The Mets defeated the Nationals 8-7. That was a completion of a suspended game that was from last night. Because of the weather, they had to suspend the game. They finished it tonight, 8-7. They were supposed to play another game behind it. That got knocked out because of the weather, so that'll be made up tomorrow as part of a doubleheader. Marlins shut out the Padres 7-0. Alcantara, good pitching performance for him. And the Pirates are blanked by the Cardinals 4-0. So you're listening here to the Sports Talk 365 live show on MixLR. Joe Soccoa and the fellas, Rook, Nick Velasquez, TJ from Scoreboard's Addicts. So, Rook, I know you texted me beforehand. I'm going to let the floor open up to you guys for the next 25 minutes, and we'll just have a nice, good old discussion here on the live show.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for throwing over to me. But you forgot to tell everyone that in the 2021-2022 English Carabao Cup, Oxford United defeats Burton on penalties 4-2. So just all those Oxford United fans, good win, and you get to advance.
Wow.
All three of them. All three of those fans.
All three of those Oxford United. They happen to be listening in.
Was that a wait? Hold on. Was that a spelling bee contest that you just gave us the stats from?
It was a soccer game, which is interesting. I don't know what the hell it is.
Soccer.
Well, first off, I know this is close to Nick's heart, but serious. I don't want to be a serious right here, but Debbie Downer. But rest in peace to Bobby Bowden, NCAA coach legend Second all-time winningest coach. Passed away this weekend. Tough. He was 92 years old, but hell of a career. So rest in peace. Thoughts and prayers to his family. I know, Nick, that's you're a big FSU guy.
That's my coach, man. So I didn't get into college football till I got to high school and started playing football in high school. And to be truthful with you, I want to say the reason I'm a Florida State fan is because it's a really stupid reason. I think I was 13 or something like that when I went to high school, 12 going on 13, or I just turned 13 or something like that. And I played for the Warriors, and we had a Native American logo for our team. And I think the coach. Say again. What was that?
You said cancel.
You.
Yeah, they did. They pretty much did. They changed it to a gladiator. Now we can insult the Italians then instead of the natives.
Hey. No, I'm just kidding.
And my coach had a Florida State hat, and I was like, that is an awesome logo because it had the spear on there. And I started doing a little research, like, what is that? And I saw that Deion Sanders, one of my favorite NFL players, went to that school, and Charlie Ward, one of my favorite NBA players, went to that school. And I said, oh, maybe I need to pay attention to and Ron Simmons, one of my favorite wrestlers, went to that school. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I need to pay attention to that school. And that's why I'm a Florida State fan. And Bobby Bowden was the coach back then. They just come off a national championship, 99. They'd won with Chris Weinke. I don't know if anybody remembers Chris Weinke.
Oh yeah, Chris Weinke, baby.
He was like 38 years old, getting drafted as a rookie in the NFL.
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner, national champion winner. Bobby Bowden, if you ever watched the movie, what's the movie about? We Are Marshall. That scene with the fictional Bobby Bowden taking care of Marshall University, their in-state rivals, and having his team put little green crosses on the back of their helmets, even though that was their in-state rival, that's real. And if you see any of the comments that anybody had to say about Bobby Bowden on Twitter or any of your social media, everybody said, for better or worse, he was a Christian first. And for me, what that means is that he was a charitable person. He really cared about people. And he didn't have unkind words. The first thing I could think of when I think of Bobby Bowden is dadgum. Dadgum. That was his thing. Like, dadgum this and dadgum that, because he didn't curse. And the second thing I think of is the Bobby Bowden grill. I don't know if you guys remember that commercial. They had a grill that looked like Bobby Bowden. It pulled off at the waist because his waist was the widest part. And the grill, I always wanted that. I always wanted the Bobby Bowden grill, but I never got it. But yeah, rest in peace, Coach Bowden. I'm glad they named the field after him over at Florida State. And it's he was a special guy.
Rest in peace. So I guess kind of here we got like 20 minutes left, so I want to maybe we'll just do a rapid fire. So real quick, U.S. wins the Olympics 113 to 88 to China, right? A little gold medal. Here's the best part about it, though: the women dominated the Olympics. Like they said, a lot of sportsbook bets that came in that won were based on women's sports, and the only reason why the U.S. beat China in the gold medals was because the U.S. Volleyball team won gold on the last day, and that got them over the hump to break the tie. But going to golf, I know TJ's a big golf guy, so throw to TJ for a little bit. U.S. sweeps the gold in the golf in the Olympics. Xander, your boy Xander, and then Nelly Korda, which both have great stories with family. Xander's dad almost became an Olympian, missed out on due to an accident. And then Nelly Korda, when she wins, she celebrates with her sister who's also an Olympian, and they hug on 18, which is just incredible. But TJ, I know you're a big golf guy. You comment on that?
On top of the fact that the Kordas have a brother who is a professional or a semi-professional tennis player and was supposed to be on the U.S. team, but ended up electing to not go because he was prepping for the U.S. Open in tennis. So, I mean, talk about a stellar family of athletes. But, yeah, I mean, the one thing that I bounced around a little bit for the Olympics. When I had time, I would throw it on. I didn't follow anything in particular. Whatever was on, I'd watch. But the golf I was watching, and I mean, just to see that level of golf and that stage. And I mean, not to say that other tournaments aren't, high intense, pressure is on. But when you're there trying to win something for your country and being represented by a lot of countries that we really don't see players from in the PGA Tour, I mean, that was one of the biggest stages for golf, and it had that feel of, a major. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. I loved every minute of it.
And I was going to say, and you know what's really remarkable about that too, because I was talking to a couple of people about that, and it's a regular tournament, so you have to literally be on your game, through the 4 rounds, in order to make sure you can medal for it. So I mean, that in itself, I mean, listen, you have a crappy day on a Thursday, bounce back on a Friday, and then you're kind of stuck in the middle on a Saturday. You better pray to God your Sunday is probably the best golf round you're going to play. So, I mean, I'm with TJ there. Good, kudos all around the fact that, Xander was able to medal and get the gold medal. And we were able to sweep in that aspect as well.
And the playoffs at the end was the playoff to see who's going to take the silver and the bronze was just absolutely incredible. It was nuts.
Yeah. The thing is, too, it's a no-cut tournament, too. So, like, anyone has a chance throughout all 4 days.
Yeah. What's so funny is, like, and Nick walked away there for a second, but I think he must have really been smiling ear to ear when Masahiro Tanaka shut down the United States for Japan to help secure the gold medal for Japan in that last gold medal game against the United States. I mean, for me, to see Tanaka come out there and, listen, we're not talking about this was an overpowering USA team, but still, I mean, you're playing in the Olympics, so you got to put together a best team, and they were playing in the gold medal game. But Tanaka coming in, shutting it down for Japan to top the U.S. in the gold medal game there. Nick, I gotta ask how you were feeling with that, seeing Tanaka put on that performance.
Well, I think Masahiro Tanaka has always been a class act. I always appreciated him as a player. Definitely a very good Yankee. Wish we had him this season. I wish we had him this season. I got to be honest with you. Over the course of the last 3-4 years, the pitchers that we got from Japan, actually probably 6 years more likely, between Kuroda, Tanaka, those guys, they were really very professional about everything that they did, about the way they went out their business. All that being said, I am never happy to see the United States lose at anything. All right. These colors don't run. All right.
Agreed.
All right. I was upset when we lost, but you know what? I rationalize it this way. All our major players are playing in their actual league right now. The Japanese national team just played against guys that were on their way out or still trying to make their way in. So, I mean, yeah, we lost. They beat the quadruple A team,
Frazier,
and we played their quadruple A team. So their quadruple A team is better than our quadruple A team.
Well, listen, and even for some of the guys though, there, Todd Frazier, even David Robertson, still showing that they still got something left in the tank that maybe they could come over and help a team here down the stretch a little bit. I don't think they would be eligible for a playoff roster, but even if they come in and help just a little bit, it would be interesting. And I'm sorry, my God, I just got the alert. The Red Sox are now up 20-1. My God. Don't want to wake them up. But, it's so interesting, Rook, that you brought up the Olympics because typically, I'm not going to lie, I don't really pay too much attention to the Summer Olympics. I'm more of the Winter Olympics guy. I mean, curling for me, you can't get me away from the TV when I'm watching that. And then, of course, the hockey games as well. But I will say, and this is probably going to be the most un-American thing I'm going to say to the three of you, but I was absolutely glad that the United States women's soccer team did not win. And that for me is more so on the standpoint of kneeling during the national anthem. I'm not a guy. Listen, you have your beliefs and your political rights or whatever. I'm not trying to get political with it, but the fact that Carly Lloyd was the only player that didn't kneel. She's the only player from that women's team that has my respect in that regard. You're in the Olympics.
There were 3 of them, but I can't remember.
Yeah, there was 3 of them.
Carly Lloyd's the biggest name out of those.
I'll say this.
Listen,
it would be like if you played for the Yankees and the game started and you took your hat and your jersey off, threw it on the floor and stomped all over it because you want to trade. You don't do stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
not even because you don't want to trade, because you don't like the manager or the owner is what it really comes down to. It's ridiculous. They don't deserve to represent our country.
Yeah, to me, it's one thing if you're going to do it here in the States and you have your motives and your beliefs behind it. But when you're on an Olympic stage, to me, I feel like the Olympics is like that pristine, professional competition that you're competing against other countries for. So to me, like, don't do that on a stage like that. Show class, show your classiness, show that you actually enjoy. Because if you're going to do that, then why the hell are you going to play for your country?
It's beyond disrespectful, and I agree with you, because you know what? At a certain point, you have to look at exactly what's at hand. You are representing your country. You're representing everything in your country, every little bit and part of your country. And the last thing you want to do is embarrass your country on the world stage. I understand the protest. I understand where they're coming from and their idea behind it. I don't agree with it. I don't think the national anthem is a place to stage a protest because you're disrespecting our flag and our country, but that's my personal opinion. But when it comes to the Olympics, when you're trying to represent the very best that your country has to offer, and you're getting broadcasted to every other country around the world that has a TV and an antenna to receive the Olympics, you're making your country look bad, and you're putting yourself and your ideas before your country. And it's not a good look. There's no place for it. And like you said, I was more than happy to see them lose.
Well, you know, I think of it like if you're in a relationship with somebody, right? You're in a relationship, you're in an argument, you're in a disagreement. I don't think, I don't think your girlfriend or your wife is going to be much happy when you throw the dirty laundry out there on Front Street for the rest of the neighborhood to look at. And that's what they did. It's one thing, like you said, when we're in our country and we all know what's going on in our country, but they publicly tried to embarrass us to the entire world. And honestly, you're not going to make any friends with that. And you're not going to gain any support from that. And your movement is not going to gain any support either. So, I mean,
how much do we have to read into this USA women's team throughout the past couple of years with, I mean, it's almost like a pissing and moaning contest. And
yeah,
I mean, I loved when they got outed and showed that they make more money than the men just based on what revenue they bring in to what revenue comes out to the player's salary. And it doesn't deter them, and it hasn't stopped them. And it just seems like, well, we're just going to go out there and make everything, every point we can to deter away from the fact that we're playing a sport. Yeah. And there's nothing to do with the sport. Let's just piss and moan and bitch about whatever we can. And it's bad publicity just on that fact. And then you go and you bring that pissing and moaning contest to the Olympic stage. Brutal.
And then you know what, though? Not to mention you have Megan Rapinoe making sure she has her photo op of her kissing her wife or her fiance, Sue Bird, and stuff like that. Like, she pisses me off, too, and somebody needs to, like... Well,
she's engaged to Sue Bird?
Yeah.
Is she really? I didn't know that. I actually found that Kristen Press and Tobin Heath are dating, and they play in the same. I think at the women's version of Manchester United, which I was like shocked to hear that. But that was like recent news. Yeah. Imagine working with your spouse all the time. Wait, oh, my wife's coming in.
Well, I have to say real quick.
Just kidding.
Real quick, I got to get a special shout out to Lisa back there. I mean, you guys could see her on the couch as you could see her hair coming over the couch or whatnot. But the folks at home, since this is just audio, she's been a sport. She was able to, you know, throw me out on Instagram before, basically saying, trying to watch my shows while my boyfriend's recording over there, like with pointing at me and stuff like that. So she's been a really good sport over there. Just had to throw that shout out there.
As a bald man, I don't appreciate her throwing her hair over the back of the chair. I felt like that was a flex, and I don't appreciate it.
She's flexing all over.
Yeah. And she just got her hair done today, too. So, you know, it's a big deal. It's a big deal over here.
None of us can tell the difference.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Now we're done with the Olympics. We're talking a lot of baseball, so let's move on into a sport that I know I'm pretty excited about. I know, Nick, you're excited about TJ. I know, Joe, you're not really a big fan of this sport, but football is coming back. I know you're not really too big of a fan, but we got the big MetLife Bowl coming up. Snoopy Trophy's up for grabs. I'm a Giant fan. Those two guys are Jet fans. Joe, I don't know where you lean on it.
I feel bad for you too.
But are you guys excited for this, the MetLife Bowl?
As excited as you could be for a preseason game that means nothing, where most of the players aren't going to play. Hey, let's call it what it is.
Rex Ryan loved fighting for that MetLife Bowl Snoopy Trophy, though. He really loved that game.
Jim Leonard almost killed Eli Manning.
Yeah, they really go hard for the Jets. So.
I'm pretty sure Eli Manning touched his head. He was bleeding, and he was like, "What is this red stuff coming out my head?" They're like, "You're bleeding. Must bleeding." You know, Eli was one chromosome shy.
But wait. Correct me if I'm wrong though. Like, I know that they play each other every preseason, but isn't it like every 4 years they actually play each other in the regular season? Are we close to that?
Yes.
Every 4. I think it's next year.
Next year.
So if I remember right, they don't play every year. They don't play in the preseason. I want to say that's like every 2 years, something like that.
No, they do every year. This
do
preseason.
they?
Yeah, they do every year.
I know they play the Eagles every year. We always lose.
They do the Jets and the Giants like the Olympics every 4 years in the regular season.
Well, that's just the rotation the NFL has.
Yeah. Well,
I'd be more hyped if it was the second week. The second.
That wasn't a serious question for NFL, but the real thing is we had the Hall of Fame enshrinement this past weekend, and football is on its way back. There's some training camp stories that we have here coming out about Nick's favorite coach, Joe Judge, coming out that he basically forced 4 players into retirement because of how hard his practices have been.
And then mocked them to the media.
Yeah, 4 players early retirement.
That's going to really serve them well when you have players that don't want to play for a coach that's literally trying to get rid of some of his team.
They'd rather not get paid than run laps and do push-ups for
the one thing I mean to cut you off. The one thing that I actually found comical because I paid attention to it was Jason Garrett's their offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator?
Their offensive coordinator.
And he came out and he tells the reporters to address him as coach. Like, all right, I get it. You're a coach, but you're not the head coach. Like,
actually,
and the fact that you came out, that and the fact that you came out and actually was serious about saying, "Hey, address me as coach." And then who was it? Somebody actually mocked it. Was it Ron Rivera that came out and was like, "Address me as coach"? No, I'm just kidding. You could just address me as Ron or whatever. So there was another coach that came out and mocked Jason Garrett.
So this is an ongoing thing throughout the summer. Deion Sanders did the same thing. Deion Sanders is a college head coach now. And obviously we all know Deion Sanders has been Deion for the last 30 some odd years, 35 years, I guess, right? Since
prime time. How dare you?
Okay. I mean, but they've been calling him Deion for 35 years. He's now, I can't remember what team he's the head coach for some college team. I don't want to say in 2A. Somebody said, "Hey, Deion, da 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 da," and he went on this rant about you wouldn't call Nick Saban Nick. I could call him Nick because we're peers. You call me Coach Sanders, and he kind of flexed on the reporter, and the reporter was like, "Okay, Deion."
That's when you just sit there and say, "Calm down, Leon Sandcastle."
but I'll say this: if you're not my coach, why would I call you coach? I call my old high school coach. But even like Dennis, who was our old manager, I never called him coach.
I call him Skip.
I call him Skip. Yeah. But even in baseball, nobody's calling Aaron Boone Coach Boone.
Also, I've seen Jason Garrett coach for a long time as a Dallas, Giants against Dallas, and then obviously last year his offensive coordinator. If what he does is called coaching and he deserves to be called a coach, we all can be coached. I mean, that guy.
You got a great point there. It's not like these guys go to college and get doctorates in coaching that they should be called coach. Or, it's not like they have little CDs, a doctorate of coaching, and they're freaking, they're just a coach because the owner says so. Tomorrow, you and me or Joe or TJ could be a head coach of an NFL team if the owner was foolish enough to hire us. When you've got such a big head about yourself that you're going to start demanding people that don't play for you call you coach, like, come on, dude, like, get over yourself. Nobody cares about you, Jason Garrett.
You can call me Coach or Coach O'Ryan. Come on, Mighty Ducks reference?
Absolutely.
No?
That was great.
Absolutely.
That was great.
I'm just mesmerized right now because as you guys are talking, like, I'm actually watching this video on Twitter from like Kevin Costner walking out onto the field. Like, I'm actually seeing the field itself now for the first time. Actually, pretty good job. I know we were off of that subject, but as you guys were talking, I was just scrolling through Twitter and, Kevin Costner's aged big time.
I've been saying it for weeks. Kevin Costner should only be allowed to make sports movies.
Yeah.
Or Waterworld too. I mean, whatever.
but here's our shameless plug. We do have our this week's what is it?
Screen Addicts.
Sorry. We have our Screen Addicts coming out this week. This week we're doing Little Big League. So that'll be out. Look for that later this week.
underrated movie right there.
Look for that later
It's
this
totally
week.
rated. It's not underrated. No.
You're terrible.
All right, so look for that later this week.
Big League, come on.
It's
And,
hard.
great movie.
Watch it again. Rewatch it. It's
Wait, and you know that the mother in that movie is the actual
Mets-
real life mother of Pete
of-
Crow Armstrong, the
Yes.
Mets former prospect that they traded.
They traded him to the Cubs. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep.
Good stuff there. I mean, listen, I look forward to it. I like the fact that you guys are doing movie reviews and stuff like that. God bless for the whole Field of Dreams one that you guys did. Didn't you do another one too, just the other day?
We did Race, but we didn't. It's out on the iTunes, but it's not. I'm not on iTunes. It's on YouTube, but it's not on the Apple Podcast yet.
It's
But
on
it is.
Soccoa
Okay.
too.
It's on Soccoa Media too as well.
Sweet. Look at that. Shameless plugs all around. But I mean, this was fun, guys. I truly enjoyed this. Nice to get the live show off the air, up and running, and hopefully we're going to continue to do this. And then also Scoreboard Addicts might, want to just have their own live show at some point too as well.
Yankees make the playoffs. We'll do the wild card game live.
You know what? We should do that. If that happens, I think we should possibly set that up where we do the wild card game live and kind of take that little barstool approach where we're just basically watching the game together and we're doing a whole live show as it's going on. I mean, that's a pretty good idea. Good job there.
We'll trade nut shots for every wrong prediction.
No, just ISIS. Smirnoff ISIS. Just the ultimate
Ice.
Do
embarrassment.
we need to be censored though? Because if we're watching any game with the Yankees,
Honestly,
I gotta have a mute button.
Honestly, I don't think so because, I mean, this is basically we could do whatever we want type of thing here. I mean, we were pretty professional on this
It's
show, but
international
we could-
waters. I did say F word once.
Oh, you didn't? I didn't even know if we picked that up or not.
I didn't
But
realize I
we
said it.
We can absolutely do whatever we want when it comes down to it. And like I said, even when you get closer to you, because we're in the middle of August already. Like, even if we have to broadcast your fantasy draft or something like that live, that'd be great. Listen, that's the purpose of this now. Soccoa Media Radio will broadcast anything and anything. We could be like ESPN 8 The Ocho at this point.
That being
I love it.
said, Corbin Burns just tied the record, struck out 10 in a row.
Good for him.
Now,
Boy.
Joe, I got to ask you. I see you sitting there rocking your Rangers T-shirt. I love it. Did you catch Henrik Lundqvist's tweet today?
Yeah, I figure we'll wrap that up with this. Since Rook had his little football moment and crap like that. Yeah, hockey's coming back too, bud.
Oh yeah.
I did
All the
see
NFL.
that. I did see that. I do think. Listen, I'm pretty sure every Ranger fan would love the fact to get him back here for one more season if he can give it a go. And obviously, we're wishing him the best because
Yes.
we know that he was trying last year and his whole heart issue couldn't get him back out there. But he is back on the ice. It would be really interesting to see if the Rangers maybe bring him back, but that's only if they move Georgiev, I think. All of a sudden the Rangers have turned into the Lou Lamoriello Islanders where nothing is being leaked out whatsoever. We've heard these Eichel rumors over and over again. At this point, it just seems like Drury is making sure this team is shored up. I think now he has just a little over $8 million in cap space to work with. For the rest of this offseason. The only thing I'll say, and I'll leave it at this, because we could talk about this another time, the Rangers are going to be a team that nobody's going to push around at this point, which I absolutely love. And some of the fans out there, which I don't even understand why they're having such a big issue with this, and it wasn't Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson didn't get into the Rangers' heads. It was the fact that they were getting pushed around. And if you look at the playoffs are very physical, intense, animal. It's different from the regular season. So I love the fact that they reshaped their bottom six and really nobody's going to push us around at this point. So
And it seems that every single fan seems to forget that this is Northeast hockey. We play the Flyers. We play the Bruins. It's rough and gritty hockey, and the Rangers haven't had grit for quite a while. And the players that you were getting grit from, it shouldn't have come from them.
Yep. Absolutely. But
even the Islanders
guys,
have little big guys too.
Yeah, they do. But they're not going to be able to push the Rangers around. And I think that's why Dolan got pissed off and jumped in there. But we'll cap that off for now. Scoreboard Addicts, Rook, Nick Velasquez, TJ, thank you guys so much for joining me here on the first live show of the Sports Talk 365. podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you having us.
All
on
right,
the show.
guys. Make sure you check them all out. They're on my app. They're all over the place. Scoreboard Addicts. On behalf of those guys, I'm Joe Soccoa. Once again, folks, thanks for listening to us here on Soccoa Media Radio.